Good day, folks. It's Greg Judy, Green Pastures Farm. Today we're trying to keep the cattle out of the mud. We got 3 inches of rain yesterday, and they're calling for more rain, possibly tomorrow evening. And I mean, it is just a mud. And so this is a stockpile that was grazed off, oh, I don't know, probably a week and a half ago. And call it the chicken ridge because there's chickens spent the winter on this ridge being moved around the layers that we had out there. Anyway, we put out a couple big round bales, and we did scoop it into piles. We found if you just unroll it in a row when it's really wet like this, the cattle just walk on it and they don't get anything eaten. But if you put it in piles, they'll kind of gather around there. Right now they're just trying to find out how far they can go and where the best pile is. That's what cows do. They go for the best. But this is we won't be back here until probably around May 15th. So this is going to have a good two months of recovery. It's just starting to get spring. We're starting to see some grass out here, starting to green up. I noticed the clover plants, they're really starting to kick. And I was looking at some manure pats that were dropped. Well, there won't be any in this paddock because they're all fresh, but we were in a paddock the other day and I kicked open a few of the manure pats, and man, I mean the earthworms, my gosh, there must have been, I don't know, 50 at least. I'm gonna do a count. I'm gonna go back to that ridge when it warms up. It's pretty chilly out here right now. I've got gloves on and it feels pretty good to have your winter clothes on today. It's chilly. But by the weekend, they're saying 65, which I'm going to welcome that for sure. And that's going to be a nice switch of having the warmer temperatures and maybe a little bit of, wind to get this thing dried out. Folks, this paddock doesn't look too bad right now. In the morning, you'll be able to tell it's going to have some impact put on it. But if you look across the ridge over there in that opening, that's where they're at today. They're on about... there's probably 4 acres on that ridge, and it looked like this morning. And tonight, I mean, it got chewed on a little bit. But you know what? What's amazing is when you get a 3-inch rain on a ridge, it's got a little pugging on it. Boy, it just kind of sloughs it all in, and it's good to go again. So rain, a good rain, really helps kind of knock down the boo-boos of, if you do make a mistake and you pug it pretty good, the rain can really flatten things out for you. They're still walking around. This hay right here, it's got a lot of clover in it, and I noticed they're over there on the grass hay. That other bale we unrolled was pretty much, it's 75-80% grass, a little bit of clover. But this first bale we unrolled, it's about 90% clover. The cows aren't real crazy about it. I mean, they're eating it, but they're not eating it like they are that one over there. 80% of the cows are on that ridge. So cows know best. They absolutely do. But folks, this is another reason we like the little bale unroller. Boy, if we had a 4-wheel drive tractor out here trying to feed these cows, you'd be able to track right where that tractor went. I mean, we'd be going down a foot deep out here. It's that soft. My gosh, you can see the tracks on the 4-wheeler right there. That's just tracks on top of the ground. It didn't sink in. And that's because we got, I don't know, 8 pounds of air in each one of those tires. And so that, it's more of a flotation type tire. They just kind of ride on top of the ground. And yet, man, you talk about traction. I've got the tractor bar tires on here. And so those things, they come with these old cheap tires on the little buttons on them. They don't have any traction. But I got these. Those things, they're bite. And they're not cheap. But those tires will last me probably 5 years, 4 to 5 years on this ATV. And you can see, I mean, they got a very aggressive, let me get on the side here. You can see that bar on there? I mean, they flat grip. So when it's really soft and you're turning around, especially in your yard, don't do that. I mean, these things are like a grinding wheel. They'll chew your yard up. You'll be able to tell right where you turned around at, I promise you, for probably a month later. So if you're gonna turn, make a wide turn. Don't make a sharp turn, because these things will they'll chew your ground up. There's our bar on the front. Allows us to run over the hot wire fence without getting off the four-wheeler. That's pretty darn cool. And it's just a heck of a machine. That's a 500 Honda Rubicon. And folks, I'll tell you what makes the Rubicon pretty nice, especially when you're pulling torque, is this right there. This is the low, that's the low range, okay? And then you got D up there for drive. Like if you want to get on the road, you can shift into, well, I'll just shift it in there. It's in drive now. But when you're unrolling hay or pulling a mineral feeder that weighs 600 or 700 pounds, put it in low side. It's easier on your clutch. It's easier on the gears. And man, have you got torque on those tires. I mean, this thing's just a beast. It weighs 750 pounds. And yet I'm unrolling, you know, a 1,200 pound net wrap bale plus the 600 pound bale unroller. There's 2,000 pounds back there. And this thing handles it with ease. Just a wonderful machine. Hondas. I wouldn't own another ATV. It's just Hondas for me. On the side-by-sides, there's all kinds of ones out there. You know, pick out one that works good, but I want to get one that I don't have to work on. And we don't work on these. We change oil in them. This thing's got a little wrench signal. I'll turn the key on. See if it comes on. No, it's not going to come on because it doesn't need oil change. Dummy. But it tells you it's in four-wheel drive. Okay. We can take it out of four-wheel drive right here. Just hit that button. It pops out. Now I'm not in four-wheel drive. If I want all four tires to turn, I do that. I push the button in and I push up on this lever. All four tires are turned. That's when you get into really thick stuff. But if you're out on the highway, folks, don't leave it in four-wheel drive. Just push that button, bring it back out, because you're just burning up your four-wheel drive metal. You know, you're turning all four tires on blacktop or gravel road. That's stupid. It's going to make it burn more gas. But when that little wrench sign comes on, it tells you, okay, it's time to change oil. Folks, most people forget about the oil changes on these things. These things will last you forever as long as you change oil on them. You run, you know, 200 or 300 hours on this on dirty oil. My God, you put years of service on that engine that you didn't need to do. You just don't do that. It's a pricey piece of equipment. Take care of it. By God, it'll last you. Okay? It'll just last you. It's a heck of a machine. This is our, of course, where we put our reels. You know, we've got an adjustable deal here. We undo that, pull this out, tighten that back up like that, and that's where our reel handle goes. And so this is holding our reels that I'm putting in the paddocks every day. Then I've got a stack of posts back here where the pitchforks are, and I may have 100 posts on. I'm throwing those out behind me as I go through the paddock. It's just a wonderful tool that speeds up our daily rotation. Love it. But we're getting closer to grass. I mean, it's getting green out here. I'm getting excited because I can smell green. I can smell green. And I saw the killdeers today when we came out. There's a pair of killdeer birds booking down through the pasture. The Canadian geese, the ones that stay here all summer, they're starting to nest up in our ponds. There's a pair of Canadian geese on almost every pond around here. They're going to be laying their little, for their goslings. I was going to say ducklings. They're not ducklings, they're goslings. And I kind of like seeing the little boogers. They raise them out here in the pasture, and it's just kind of neat. I just need to figure out a way to harvest those wild geese and have grass-fed geese, pasture-raised goose. That would be kind of cool. But anyway, the buzzards are back. The daffodils, we saw our first daffodils opening. So all the signs of spring are here. I haven't heard the wild turkeys gobbling yet in the morning. But by golly, they ought to start any time now. And when the wild turkeys start gobbling, you know, you're probably 2 to 3 weeks away from having some pretty darn good grass. So we're at March 10th. And I would say in 2 more weeks, we're going to have 4 to 6 inches. All depends on the temperature. I mean, if we can get up in the 60s and hold that, have some 50-degree nights, stay out of the frost at night, by golly, this grass will come. So we're looking forward to that. And we still got a bunch of stockpile up here in front of us. I didn't put them on it tonight because I'm trying to buy a little time. I've got some really nice stockpile. I'm going to shoot a video of that when we get up there. We've got 40, 45, 55, 60. There's about 75 acres of stockpile in front of us. And we're going to meter that out, and we're going to let these cows have some stockpile that's got green coming up through it. And by a little time, we still got some of that old hay stored up here from last year. We're going to feed that up too. So looking forward to spring. This is Greg Judy signing off. And for you folks that are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And thanks for being a good YouTuber. I've got a lot of people that are starting to email me a lot of good questions, and I don't get them all answered, but I try and do what I can. And with that, we'll see a bunch of you all coming up at our grazing school coming up in May. Y'all have a good one.